Hi guys, Hollie Hobby. Today we're going to be cooking in the kitchen something I've never made before. I've heard about it. Some of my keto friends are like, you have to try this. Cauliflower mashed potatoes. No potatoes are included. We're going to use 2 heads of cauliflower, 3 tablespoons of butter. It calls for coconut milk, but I'm going to use regular milk. I'll have to look at the quantity in just a moment. Also 3 cloves of garlic, a handful of chives, and I'm going to also add some different cheeses. I have a really good American Parmesan, as well as Marie's, I don't know how to pronounce this, Gruyere, Gruyere, leftover from a cooking adventure I had with Chef Lucas in Italy. So let's get to cooking and have some fun. The very first thing we're going to do is add some of the ingredients to the food processor first. We're going to start with the 3 minced cloves of garlic. Now, I love this tool, and you'll see there's some garlic left on the end there. What I'd like to do is take a spoon and just scrape that off into there so you don't miss a thing. The best way to get the garlic out is to just simply open it up and use the back of the spoon to scoop out the rest of the skin. It's a good idea to take off as much of the paper around the garlic as possible so you don't have as much to pull out when you clean it out for the next batch. 3 cloves seems like a lot, but these are pretty decent sized cauliflower. Now I've got a bunch of water already boiling or getting ready to boil, because what we're going to do is process some of these ingredients first while we boil the cauliflower. And I'm going to actually walk through the process of getting that cut with you. I've never really been a huge fan of cauliflower until recent years, and I've tried buffalo flavored cauliflower, which is just delicious. I might make that here sometime. I've also tried, I really want to try the cauliflower rice. I hear that's very good. Now that's in there. It doesn't really say in the recipe how many chives, and it looks like they've got some really big chives. I've got these smaller ones, so I'm just going to rip some off in a bundle and add, so those will get chopped up nicely together. I'm also going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of butter. Remember, big spoon is a tablespoon, small spoon is a teaspoon. So my family tends to like butter, so this is like tablespoon version. So just going to add that on in there. That's 1, 2, and 3. We're just going to save that for, we're going to mix that up real quick, and then we're going to add the boiled cauliflower when that's done. So it did call for coconut milk, and I don't have any of that. And it only needs a teaspoon or tablespoon, so I'm just going to go ahead and add the tablespoon of my regular milk. And because I do want it cheesy, I'm going to go ahead and add the cheese here now. So I found this Gruyere cheese. I just don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not perfect, but I just don't know how to pronounce it. And it's absolutely delicious. In fact, we've been trying out a lot of different cheeses lately. A lot of Goudas and Rembrandts, and well, Rembrandt is a Gouda. But I do a lot of cooking with chefs online, and they actually say you can use the rind of the cheese in a bunch of different things. So don't get rid of your rinds, save those. You can put them in sauces and all sorts of things. I'm also going to be adding a nice Parmesan. So we're just going to chop this just a smidge, put it in the food processor because I want it to do its magic and save my wrists a little bit. And again, not spending a ton of time chopping it. It's not fancy. It's just going to go in here. Okay, so now we're going to get these cauliflowers cut up. I'm a part of a CSA, which is basically a shared farm-to-table organization. It's not called CSA, it's just part of what you do. You get orders to your door every single month of different things. This happens to be a really, really beautiful, organic grown in the United States cauliflower. The smell is really, really good. And it's because of the CSA that I started really getting interested in different vegetables. The size difference between this and what I found at the grocery store is substantial. So you can tell how much is put into, there's love and care without anything added for this guy. This one's much bigger because it's genetically grown to be bigger. But that's what they had at the store. Didn't have a whole lot of options there. So I knew I wanted, when I wanted to make this, I really, really wanted to have as much of the mashed potatoes as possible. And I knew that this little guy wouldn't be enough to feed our little family of 4. You're just going to basically start at the back and kind of cut your way through. You want to make sure that your water is already getting to a boil. So I'm just heating mine back up again, because this is going to be boiled before you put it in the food processor. There we go. Now we're getting to it. I don't know of any recipes that you could use with the stems, but if you are a person that doesn't want to waste anything, the best ways to kind of multi-purpose that would be to add it to your compost, or maybe look up some recipes on the internet. I'm just going to now just break apart the florets. I will be adding a little bit of salt and butter to the water because, again, I do like the taste of butter in my food. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Additionally, if you're adding butter or salt or not using the coconut milk and you find the recipe on my Pinterest, it will not be the same amount of calories, my friends, which I'm not bothered with that right now. But if I was conscious about counting calories and all of that, I would be looking at that option and getting the coconut milk instead, as well as maybe not as much butter or a variation of butter. We're going to start with this big guy. Same kind of process. This applies to cabbage as well. If you pull cabbage from a garden, the best way to do that is to get in there and twist it off so you've got a nice flat stem. They've obviously used a knife to cut this, which is absolutely fine as well. I will note that if you don't pull up the whole stalk, some of these plants, depending on when you pick them, will regrow in their stalk. In fact, celery does that also. So when I harvest my celery, I like to cut it from the base and it will continue to grow so long as it's still in warm months. My celery, I had 2 celery plants this summer and I harvested 6 full sets of celery. So much to share with others. Rhubarb also works in a similar way where it grows further at the stalk. And in fact, you don't want to fully cut them all back every year because you have opportunity for them to potentially grow again the same stalk next year, especially if they've got seeds left behind in their roots. That was a big guy. This one I'm going to have to do a little bit different because it is hefty, my friends. So we're just going to go on in. I'm not worried about tiny pieces, just wanting to try to capture as much of it as I can. Look at that. So thick. I would guess to venture that if I had just picked this one and not worried about my CSA one, that this would have been more than enough for my family. But now we'll have some leftovers to enjoy. Okay, so now we're going to get that water to a boil, covered for at least 10 minutes, and then we'll see if it's soft enough to go ahead and put in the processor. So it called for pepper to taste. I like to twist mine. And 3/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to go ahead and do an average estimated. I like to use sea salt and pink Himalayan salt. That's my favorite. You might be wondering, what in the world am I going to serve with these mashed potatoes? And I'm actually going to do Korean barbecue, and I'm going to show you that. So with the CSA that I mentioned, we get subscription for meats as well. And so I found this lovely Korean barbecue sauce at the grocery store in the international section of my store. And I basically just doused in my crock pot. It's been going all day on low heat since about 9 o'clock this morning till now, which is about 3 o'clock. And so I basically took the 4 Korean style ribs, which are thinly sliced. They're falling apart. That's so good. Thinly sliced ribs. And they've been marinating in this sauce all day. So it's going to be a little bit spicy and very, very tender. So, I mean, it's just that simple. Take the sauce, put it in the pot, have it on low heat for 4 to 5 hours, and you're good to go. So you'll know that your cauliflower is complete when you can stick a fork in it, just like you can with potatoes. When you stick a fork in it and it comes right off, it's super smooth, then you know it's ready. I'm going to give this another 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so the cauliflower is ready now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strain it in the sink, and it says to squeeze the water out. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put it in the food processor. I was thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to squeeze out all the moisture? And so I decided a lid, push down on the colander in the sink, worked out pretty well. Now I'm going to scoop all that in here, and we're going to blend it up. I've got a little bit extra, so I'm going to try to puree it first, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so mine's pretty thick. Oh, but look at that. Oh, that's yummy. Look at this consistency. It's like potatoes. This is very, very smooth. So I'm not thinking, I don't really think, just dive in here. I'm not feeling like I need to puree much more. I think I'm going to go ahead and taste test. Okay, so while it's not the consistency of mashed potatoes, it is very tender and very delicious. Okay, my friends, I am very, very happy with my cauliflower mashed potatoes. They taste amazing. Looking forward to pairing that with the Korean barbecue ribs. I hope you've enjoyed cooking with me today. Let's have fun. Give me some ideas. Don't forget to hit subscribe and comment down below. I want to know what you want me to make. Thanks so much, my friends. If you tried it, let me know if you liked it. Have a great day. Let's be awesome in the kitchen. Bye.